Well, hey there. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is so good to be with all of you today. My name is Alex Judd. This is John Elder. We're both coaches here at EntreLeadership, and y'all, we are so beyond excited to dive into today's webinar that's going to be entirely focused on 5 fixes to get your employees, the people on your teams with the businesses that you lead, to start acting like owners. That's what we're going to be diving into today. But before we get there, we want to make sure that you are in the zone, that you are ready to go. Because we've seen over and over and over again how this content can literally be used to transform the landscape of your business and the way that you do things and lead things every single day. But in order to engage with this content and to think critically about how it can apply to your business, we're going to need you to do a couple things. First of all, turn off everything going on in the background. So make sure you're closing all the extra tabs. We don't want to be sharing page on your screen with Facebook. Make sure everything is closed on your computer right now. Make sure that you are getting ready to get down to business. Make sure you're taking notes. And again, ask yourself great questions about how can I apply this in my world? And as you have questions, you can absolutely put those in the chat. And then finally, I'm going to ask you to silence your cell phone. Again, we say wherever you are, be all there. Commit to engaging mentally and thoughtfully with this content, because we see over and over again, that's what transforms a leader, is when they think critically about working on their business. And that's what we're here to do today.
That's exactly right. We teach these webinars every month or so, and we always enjoy knowing who we're teaching to. So in the chat box, we've introduced ourselves to you. We ask that you introduce yourselves to us. Who are you? Where are you? What business are you in? We work and coach thousands of business owners from all over the world, frankly, and we always we love hearing who you are, hearing your stories, what kind of impact you're making on your worlds, on your regions, your cities. So tell us who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Yeah, Atif, we see you on here. Excellent. Good to have you. Derek, we see you on here. Mason from Texas. Jessica from Minnesota. A bunch of folks from Texas, actually. Colorado, St. Louis, Missouri, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Wow. Luke from Dallas. Jeff from Magnolia, Texas.
Why are you reading all the Texas ones?
Well, they are literally all from Texas. Baltimore, Maryland, Florida. Honestly, we get so excited about this. Literally people from around the country that are committed to growing themselves, growing their teams, and growing their profits, and that's what we're all about. Now, this webinar today, like we said, is entirely focused on getting your employees, the people on your team, to start acting like owners. And we do a lot of work to make sure that this content meets a need in the marketplace, to make sure that this content meets a need for small business owners today, right here, right now. And certainly that is the case for this webinar. There's a couple stats I want to share with you. Here's the deal. 71% of all employees report that they are not fully engaged at work. That is kind of terrifying. 71% of team members throughout the country are reporting that they are not fully engaged to what they're doing every single day. That's crazy. That's also really sad. More than 1 1/3 of those employees would give up $5,000 a year in salary just to be more happy and more fulfilled at the work that they do every single day. So this absolutely matters to every single person on this webinar. Beyond that, and y'all know this to be true, turnover costs employers, turnover costs the businesses approximately $11 billion every single year here in the United States. Turnover is a big deal that costs your company a lot of money. So obviously reducing that's going to provide a massive return to you as a leader and to your business, but also to your customers. Now let's look at the flip side of that. Companies that have happy employees, quite frankly, they've got an edge, they've got an advantage, because those companies outperform the competition by an estimated 20%. Simply put, if you as an owner, if you as a leader, and this is your opportunity and your responsibility, if you can crack the code of getting your team members engaged and alive and happy at what they do every single day, you will be light years ahead of the competition. And that's what we're going to dive into here today.
Yeah, we're here because we want you to have successful businesses with successful, happy teams. We believe that you all, as small business owners, you guys are the backbone of this economy. It's what happens on Main Street that matters, not what happens on Wall Street. It's you all out there rolling your sleeves up, getting your hands dirty. We're also here today to give you a little bit of a glimpse into EntreLeadership, Dave Ramsey's #1 best-selling book. This was written a few years ago and is still true to this day. We always always say that our school colors are black and blue. We are in the trenches. We are the ones also rolling up our sleeves, getting our hands dirty. What we're going to be teaching you today is working. This isn't just theory. This isn't just some pie in the sky thing that we are trying to achieve. We are hundreds, almost, we're getting closer and closer to 1,000 team members here. And as we make that climb, we have to ensure that our team is happy and healthy. Actually, we've been ranked one of the best companies to work in Nashville for 10 years, 10 different times. So again, this isn't theory. This isn't something that we wish or we would hope for. This is something that is actually working.
And that's really how we want to encourage you to participate in this webinar today. We don't want you to think about this as something you could do. We don't want you to think about this something as other people are doing. We want you to think about this as something you are going to do. Think about this webinar. Think about this content today through the lens of action. Because quite frankly, our goal today is to help see you succeed in your business, in your leadership, and help you succeed in getting your team members, your employees, to start acting like owners. Just to see real quick, how many of you would give us a yes right off the bat if you have ever used some version of the phrase, I just wish they cared as much as I do. I just wish they cared about this thing. I just wish they got as excited about this thing. I just wish they took this thing as seriously as I do. Okay, we see all the yeses coming in the chat and lots of exclamation points coming in the chat. Absolutely. We are right there with you. We coach business owners. You and I do this every single day, and over again, one of the biggest questions that we get is, how do I get these people to care as much as I do? And what we found as a team in doing this with thousands of business owners around the country in the All Access program is that really there's kind of 5 strategies that most businesses need to start applying themselves to. And these are the 5 fixes. So let's run through them real quick, and then we'll dive in depth into each one. So if you're taking notes, strategy number 1 is going to be fix your foundation. Strategy number 2 is going to be fix your hiring. We got to make sure we've got the right people on the bus and that we've got a process that can ensure that. Strategy number 3 is about fixing your communication. The most effective leaders on the planet are effective communicators, so we're going to focus on that. Strategy number 4 and strategy number 5 are all about you. We're going to fix your attitude. We know that your business will never expand beyond your capacity and your attitude's capacity, so we're going to fix your personal attitude, and then we're going to fix your leadership, because when a leader gets better, everybody wins. And that's the goal here today. Seriously, we've seen over and over again how these strategies, if applied thoughtfully and critically and consistently over time, can absolutely get the people on your team to start acting like owners. And really, that's where we want to start. It's with the idea that building a great company culture doesn't just happen by accident. It's not going to be something that you drift into. You won't wake up one day and it will occur. No, building a great company culture absolutely starts with you, which brings us to strategy number 1, which is fix your foundation.
That's right. Any good house, any good building, it has a solid foundation to it. Your organization is no different. I want you to, just for a second, picture your company and your culture specifically as a big, sturdy oak tree. Something that was planted hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and now it's grown up and it's this big oak tree. At the bottom of that tree, underneath, what you actually don't even see on the surface are the roots. The roots in this example are your beliefs and your values. Your core values, your mission statement, your what you believe as an organization. Those are who you are and why you exist. Now, I'm curious, if you have a mission statement, type yes in the chat box. If you don't, type no. It's okay. There's no judgment here. But I want to know who we have in the room and what types of businesses we're dealing with. Do you have one? Do you not? You have to start with those roots, because that is the foundation. Now, we're going to find as we go that we may not be very fruitful.
That's right.
You know, and that's I say that's okay. It's not okay, but we'll get you there.
That's right. There's a lot of people putting yes. There's a lot of people putting no. There's a lot of people like Jared that are putting yes-ish, right?
Okay.
So regardless of where you are, we would say this is where you should start from a leadership perspective. And certainly if you have a leadership team, you need to start here with them as well. So often when we teach content from an EntreLeadership perspective, we see that people will immediately start going after results. Mm-hmm. And we know we can empathize with you 100%. We are results people. people around here, right? And we're going to immediately start doing things that will drive results. Well, recognize that on this tree, results are the fruit, right? And we know this is true because it rhymes. If you've got a problem with the fruit, if you've got a problem with the results, you can either try and fix the fruit or you can go to the root. And when you go to the root, you fix something sustainably over an extended period of time. We're not talking about fixing something one day by putting a Band-Aid on it and just having to turn around so you have to fix it again in 2 weeks. No, that is called working in the business, and it feels a lot like you're playing whack-a-mole, right? Just every time a problem comes up, you're trying to hit it. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about fixing the root, fixing the base layer, fixing the foundation of your business. And like you said, that really starts with you establishing some values in the business. Yeah, the values, we talk about them all the time. We teach about them all the time. These are the things that are what are really most important to you. We teach on core values. Some of you may have some you're working on these things. Maybe you have some accidental values or some things that are just kind of, you know what, permission to play. You have to be at this certain level. You have to cross this barrier in order to get employed here. That's fine. Those aren't core values. Those are just kind of your entry level things, your entree, if you will, to getting a position with your organization. But what we want to do is really investigate what's underneath the surface, your values, your mission statement. When we teach on mission statement, we're talking as if it's an out of bounds marker. When you play football, you see, excuse me, white lines on the field. When we step on those white lines, guess what? The whistle blows. The play's over. We cannot play the game out of bounds. That's what your mission statement does for you. Not only does it tell you where you can play, but it also tells you where you're not able to play. It helps define what you are not. This mission statement is going to keep you on track. It's like the guardrails on driving down the road. When you start to veer off course, you feel those rumble strips. Maybe you bump into the guardrail and you wake up a little bit. You go, oh, wait, I got to get back on track. That's what your mission statement does. So we're going to start with the roots. Then we're going to move up that oak tree to the trunk. The trunk is your operating principles. We don't have around here a lot of policies and procedures. We have principles. We have guiding principles, operating principles, core values that help us execute why we're on business. The principles are going to tell us how we execute on the why. So our core values and operating principles, how we treat our team, what our stance is on maternity leave and sick leave and things like that, family issues, those are our operating principles. That's how we do business day in and day out. That's the trunk. We're going to start to move up. Now we reach the branches. The branches, that's your culture. And your company culture is the collective behavior and attitudes of your team. And guess what? Culture is either what you create or what you tolerate. Now, how many of you, which side of that equation are you? I want to see that in the chat box. Have you created culture or are you tolerating culture? Create or tolerate, I want to see it in the chat box. A couple of you have created culture. Kudos to you. Good job. Whether you realize it or not, you have a culture. And it can be good or it can be bad. It can be healthy or it can be unhealthy. My question to you is it a healthy one? Well, you're going to know if it's healthy by the fruit. Right? If we plant a tree, we plant an apple tree or a peach tree, something like that. Maybe you're from Georgia. I don't know if anybody, I'm sure somebody's from Georgia. About 20 of you, 200 of you or so are from Texas. So if you plant a peach tree in Georgia, you're going to know if the fruit is healthy, but you have to, by how it tastes and how it looks and the feel and the touch and things like that. But what started was your care, your attention to the roots. That's where it started. Now we have some healthy fruit, but as a result of the work that has happened underneath the surface. Absolutely, and that's where you have to start. If the objective of this webinar is to get employees to start acting like owners, we need to start creating a culture where that can occur. And what I love is that so many of you are already saying, I'm creating it, or some of you said created. And I would say we need to change the tense on that verb, because you are never not in a position where you are creating culture for your team. Every single thing you do, every single day as a leader, you are creating or destroying. You are creating or tolerating something that's going to impact the culture of your team. So recognize the impact that you have. It's an incredible responsibility. It's also an incredible opportunity. So we're going to give you the diagram that we just showed you, that culture tree diagram that kind of helps you walk through from the root to the trunk to the branches to the fruit. We're going to give you that diagram that you can print as a one-pager. We've got it around here at our office. This is a great teaching tool for your teams. We think that as a leader, you should be constantly adding value to others. You should be constantly raising up leaders, not followers. And this is a tool that you can use to do that we're giving to you. If you go to entreleadership.com/culture tree, you can get that printout and spread that around your office. Teach this to people that you know that are on your team, because again, we need to get them on board with the culture you are working to create every single day. Let's talk about the action plan. If we're focused on fixing our foundation, if we're focused on fixing the foundation culturally in the business, we would tell you, you should start by developing a mission statement. Start by making sure that you have a statement that correctly answers one question for your business. The question, why do we exist? And if you have a mission statement, we would say that you should double down, look at it again and say, does this truly answer the question, why do we exist? We talked about turnover earlier, and we talked about the immense cost that it costs the economy as a whole. We also talked about the cost that it costs businesses individually, but think about the cost in terms of your stress and worry and fear as a leader. Turnover sucks.
Awful.
Why do people stick with a team? Most of the data shows that it's not because of money, it's not because of benefits. Those things are great, and we're not going to ignore those. But most people stay with a team for a long time because they respond to the purpose. They respond to the why. And a why is clarified in an effective mission statement. I'm getting on a coaching call later today with one of our members to literally talk him through his mission statement, because he said, I've had one for years, but he said, we've realized that it's not aspirational enough. And certainly a mission statement should be something that when you read it, when your team reads it, they should get excited about it, because this is a product of the difference you are trying to make in the world, or in your world, or in your community, or in the lives of your customers. So one of the biggest action plans that we would give you out of this foundation is make sure that you've got a mission statement. Make sure that it's written down, and make sure you're communicating it regularly to your team and to the people that you are bringing on board. Now, also, we want you to recognize that if we are doing the hard work from a leadership perspective of relaying or reestablishing the foundation, that's going to take time. That will not happen overnight, and you know that to be true. The bigger the team, the more time it will take. That is undoubtedly true. So again, expect that you're in this for the long haul. Make sure that you are committing to this, and make sure your team knows this is where we are going. This is what we are doing. That brings us to strategy number 2, which is really make sure you have the right people on the team.
That's right. Yeah. Strategy number 2 is fix your hiring. We spent a lot of time on strategy number 1 because we feel it's so important. Once you have your foundation set, everything else revolves around that. We spend a lot of time in the hiring process here. We have 12 steps that we take a potential candidate through. And while we do have some turnover in the organization, a lot of that happens in the interview process because we know that we have to hire a good team. When you hire a good team, turnover goes down. Turnover just lowers. We actually have a very low turnover rate in the company itself, but we have about a 90–95% turnover rate just during the hiring process. But we are very intentional about it. We're very deliberate about it, but for a reason.
Yeah, and we believe that your process, your hiring process, it should be hard. We take people through a long process because we believe in the principle, if you hire hard, you can lead easy. What does that mean? It means that if you make the process, quite frankly, a little bit difficult to get through, it means you're going to weed out the bad candidates, which makes your job as a leader so much easier. So hire hard so that way you can lead easy.
Yeah, we have about a 90% turnover rate during the interview process because we don't want crazy here. We also have a spousal interview because not only do we not want crazy here, we don't want somebody to be married to crazy. So we take our time, but you have to know, you have to understand that a proper hire will perform better. they're going to be less likely to cause problems, and they're going to be more likely to stay. Now, can I get a yes or an amen in the chat box if you have had a bad hire or a poor performing person who's a problem causer and you just can't get them to go? You'd love to fire them. You'd love for them to leave on their own, frankly, but they just won't go away. I'm seeing a lot of those responses. This is how you do it. You slow down, you fix your hiring process, take your time, and you're going to get those rock stars in.
Yeah, so many of the people that we work with from a coaching perspective, they would call themselves accidental CEOs. They said, I looked up one day and I said, holy crud, this thing actually worked, and now I've got 10 people that are actually following me. And they never had a process for anything. They never actually put anything on paper. So we're going to give you our hiring guide. This is kind of our one-pager that runs you through our hiring process. You don't have to do all this starting today. We're going to talk about that later. But we would say that you should have a written hiring process. And that's going to be my action plan here for you on number 2 is just create a written hiring process. We say on paper, on purpose. Don't let hiring people, the human resource is your greatest resource. So don't let this happen by accident. And then I want you to think critically, not just when you get into the interview, but actually before the interview. What are the questions that you can ask to really get at, does this person belong on my team? Do they have the skill that we need them to be able to do? And do they have the will to do it? Again, all of this starts with you getting the right people on the bus. Once you've got the foundation laid, then you get the right people on the bus, and then we can actually start moving forward.
I know a lot of you have probably made bad hires. I was a business owner for 10 years. I made plenty of bad hires. I've blown it more times than I can count. I'm curious, how much does a bad hire cost you? Some of you, it may have been time. Some of you may have been sleep. Some of you, it may be hair. What has a bad hire cost you? Maybe a monetary number. I'm seeing some, go ahead and put that in the chat box of what, I want to see what this has cost you, because what's true is that it is very, very costly. I see sleep there.
I see $10,000. I see $5,200. I see $24,000. I always wish I could hear all the stories surrounding these, because
I don't know if
once you get further past them, they're typically hilarious.
Yeah.
If they were last week, they're not hilarious right now, and we empathize with you. Here's the deal, and here's the point we want you to get across. We would rather you not hire someone today than hire the wrong person. Do not miss that. Because if you need to hire someone right now, we know you are in a lot of pain, right? And it hurts. The fact that you have this gaping hole in your company that someone needs to fill. Maybe you need an assistant. Maybe you need a receptionist. Maybe you need a project manager. Maybe you need an operations manager. Here's the deal. The pain of not having someone is always nothing compared to the pain of getting the wrong person. So don't hurt your team. Don't hurt your customers. Don't hurt yourself by hiring the wrong person just because you jumped the gun and you moved too fast and you operated out of what you knew was correct. Pump the brakes and recognize that we would rather you not hire someone than hire the wrong person. So we fixed the foundation. We've fixed the people that are on the bus, and we said we're going to get the right people on the bus in the right roles. And then we need to focus on how do we continually and consistently communicate to that team. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Step 3, strategy number 3 is to fix your communication. Now, I think there's a big difference between communicating and talking. I think most of us would agree, if we've been in any kind of relationship, be it a dating relationship, a marriage, a business relationship, we can talk all day long, but true commitment takes work and it takes time. Around here, we commit a lot to good communication. Every Monday morning at 8:30 a.m., we have a company-wide staff meeting. Nearly 1,000 people, hundreds and hundreds of people. Here's a picture of Dave leading a staff meeting. Everybody in the room at the same time. We have a staff meeting Monday. We have another meeting, a devotional meeting on Wednesday. We spend money and time to invest in good communication. That's how important it is. Now, you all do the math of nearly 800 people times X dollars per hour times 2 hours of being together, everybody in the room per week. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money, but we know how important it should be. But what I enjoy most in the time I've been here, we err on the side of over communicating. We make sure that communication happens early and often. So don't wait until your new hire starts on day 1 to be communicating with them. When you submit the offer and they accept it, maybe a week or 2 or 4 weeks out from their actual start date, start talking to them. Start laying out your expectations, what it's going to be like, what your company culture is like. Take that as an opportunity to communicate who you are and how you execute on business and what your expectations of that new person are.
Yeah, many of you, if you've spent time around the Ramsey organization or if you've read the book Entre Leadership, if you haven't read it, we would say you should absolutely read that book. We're biased, but just because we're biased doesn't mean we're wrong, right? You know that one of the things we believe in around here is profit sharing, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that Dave instilled from early on in the company, and certainly it fits into the webinar theme today of getting employees to act like owners. We share a portion of the profits of the company because that way, myself as a team member, you as a team member, we experience the highs of Ramsey Solutions, but we also experience the lows of Ramsey Solutions in our paycheck. Now, here's the deal. Whenever you and I teach on profit sharing, and whenever we experience profit sharing here, we know that there are two things that you have to have as a business owner to make that successful: communication and education. And that is for installing any system, any process in your company. You have to have effective communication and you have to have effective education. Now, in the context of profit sharing here at Ramsey Solutions, here's what that looks like. Every single month, once a month, without a shadow of a doubt, our CFO gets on stage. If you don't have a CFO, but you're doing profit sharing, you can do this. And he tells us, hey, here's what the company experienced most recently. And most recently, it's been very, very excellent.
Yes.
And he shares with us, that means that you're going to be seeing an increase in your profit sharing check. Everyone cheers, right? It's a great communication moment, and we're all sharing together and acting like owners of the company. But then we have the same thing every single time. This slide comes on the screen, and as a company, he says, profits are created when revenues go up. And expenses go down. Remember, you are all self-employed. He says that to us every single month because we believe in a principle around here. We believe in the principle that to be unclear is to be unkind. And so we're going to be absolutely clear. And this profit sharing example is just one example of how profits are created. And also, let's remember the expectation around here is that you are all self-employed. Walk around this place like you own the place, because you do. This place only exists because all of us are killing it every single day. That's how we should all be communicating to our teams. We should be crystal clear about what creates success, what success looks like, and then celebrate whenever we do experience that success.
Yeah, when you are unclear and you are unkind, whether you know it or not, you're creating a culture of secrets and missed opportunities. And when secrets arise, guess what's next? Fear. Nobody knows what's going on. Everybody starts thinking the worst, but and then everybody gets scared. So secrets and missed opportunities followed by fear, that's what happens when communication is low. It's up to you as the owner, as the leader of your organization or of your team. It's up to you. Like I said before, we err on the side of over communicating. George Bernard Shaw said the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's already taken place. I'm bad about that. I'll say, I think I said something to somebody and they walk away either uninformed or with a completely different idea or takeaway than what I was trying to convey. So that's the single biggest mistake that we make, is thinking we've said something when we actually haven't. But having the mission statement in place, having your stated core values, those things help communicate how you expect your company to run. So don't take those things lightly.
Absolutely. We taught in a coaching session just the other day, just because you said it doesn't mean they heard it, understood it, or believe it. Right? Remember that as a leader, just because you said it doesn't mean they heard it, understood it, or believe it. So we need to make sure that we are creating a rhythm of regularly getting people on the same page. And that's going to be our action plan for you. Schedule a mandatory weekly staff meeting with your entire team. Now, I will tell you, every time we put this action item up there, the first thing we get back are excuses. And I will tell you, if we can do this with 750, almost 800 people every single Monday morning, I guarantee you can figure it out. And here's the deal. A lot of times people think in terms of, oh, that's going to cost me so much. It's going to be such a, that's a lot of time that we're using. We're spending a lot of energy and time getting that ready. Stop thinking about this as spending. Start thinking about it as investing. Because if you're running that meeting correctly, you are pouring into the lives of your team members. You're pouring into the lives of your leaders, and you're building up a team of leaders instead of a team of followers. And that's what people desperately want to be a part of. So if you're in one of those situations that you've got remote workers, or maybe you've got people working on an hourly schedule, we never would say that you need to use technology as a replacement, but you can absolutely utilize technology as a supplement to bring everyone together. Again, remember the objective. We're just trying to get everyone on the same page with what we're doing and why we're doing it, because without a doubt, that's how teams win, is when they're on the same page with what are we doing, where are we going, and why are we doing it. And then really, we said that the first three strategies, fix your foundation, fix your hiring, and then fix your communication, those are organizational strategies. And that sets us up almost perfectly to say, okay, let's shift our gaze from the organization and start looking to you as an individual, which brings us to strategy number 4.
That's right. Time to look in the mirror here, friends. The strategy number 4 is you have to fix your attitude. Everything rises and falls with you. Henry Ford says that coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, but working together is success. You guys have surrounded yourself with a team. You've brought some folks in. You've maybe kept them together for a while. Wouldn't it be great to get them actually working together in lockstep to almost finish each other's sentences, right? That is where the magic happens. When you can get everybody to work together, that's where you achieve success. If you treat your team like family, guess what? They are going to act like family. So in an effort to get them working together, treat them well. And if you want them to, if you treat them well, they're going to treat your clients well. It's amazing, this cascading effect that we see when we're talking when we're coaching all of our business owners, and we go, man, you did a great job treating them well. Your sales department, your marketing department, man, that was great how you kind of showered them with praise and showered them with gifts. And they're always quick to say, yeah, and let me tell you the fruit of that. Let me tell you the domino effect of that. Because I did this for my sales team, they did this for our clients. If you want your clients to be treated well, you got to start with who's right in front of you, which is your team. Treat your team well, and they are going to pass that on.
Yeah, I think we can be so blind to this. It was not that long ago that I was talking to one of our business owners around here, and she was very new to EntreLeadership. She had the best intentions. And she told me, she said, I want to schedule a Thanksgiving lunch for our team. And I was like, that's awesome. She said, this is the first time we've ever done anything like that. And she was really excited about it. And I said, that's great. She said, I want to show them that I'm grateful for them. And then she said, I've got a quick question. I said, yeah, what's the question? Absolutely. And she said, can I have them clock out so I don't have to pay them while they're at the Thanksgiving lunch? And I said, oh my God, you're missing the point.
We were so close.
Yeah, people act the way you treat them, right? People act the way you treat them. So it's simple, but just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If we want people to act like units of production, yeah, we should treat them like units of production. But you don't want them to act like units of production. You showed up today because you want them to act like owners. So if people act the way we treat them, let's start treating them like owners and start giving them real responsibility, real ownership, and fix our attitude in terms of the way we look at people, because that's going to be the catalyst for getting them to fix their attitude.
Yeah, and of course there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be those team members who really aggravate you, frustrate you, make you mad. They're going to screw up and do something wrong. They're going to cost you money. But remember, the best way to handle any situation is with grace. If you can extend a little grace, have a little empathy for your team and for your crew, they are going to pay that back to you tenfold. People are motivated. People are starving for, longing for, I believe, 5 things. Number 1, acceptance. They want to know that they're part of the family. They're part of the group. They are also longing for approval. They want to know that what they are doing is correct and they're doing it well and they're on the right track. Number 3, they want appreciation. A lot of you may not know, the last time that the vast majority of people walking around were publicly applauded for was when they walked across the stage of their high school graduation. Think about that for a second. Now, for a lot of us, that was a long time ago. For others, maybe not so long ago, but they want to be appreciated. Number 4, they want attention. They may seem like they want to kind of operate in the shadows, but they truly don't. They want attention. They want to be recognized publicly. And number 5, they want affection. They want to know that this is a safe environment. This is a loving environment. This is a caring environment where they can screw up, they can make some mistakes, and they're not going to get their heads chopped off. They're not going to meet the rage monster in your office. They're going to meet you, a loving, caring leader. The secret to building this loyal team, the secret to building people who will go to battle with you and for you, is to be a leader worth following. Get that Braveheart moment where you paint your face blue and you go, hey, here's where we're going, gang. Who's coming with me? Right? The boss is the one who sits in the back with the bullwhip, cracking the whip and saying, work harder, work longer, go faster, go farther. The leader is the one who's out front, turning around going, come on. Come with me. This is where we're going. This is where we're headed. Here's why. Here's how we're going to do it. I'm setting the pace. I'm setting the tone. Let's go.
Absolutely. So let's talk about an action plan. I'm going to challenge you on this call, and for some of you, this will be a challenge. I'm going to challenge you to schedule 30 minutes this week to write a few handwritten thank you notes to team members showing your appreciation or letting them know about a job well done. Now, here's the deal. If you're like me, you can read something like this and be like, okay, that's a frou-frou action item. Let's move on to the next point. This is not a frou-frou action item, okay? This is a very serious, tactical leadership thing that you can do. People want to be appreciated, and people like working for a leader that shows them they are appreciated. And the thing that no one does anymore is write a handwritten thank you note. This is something that we have made a practice. It is a cultural practice for leaders around our team around here, is just showing recognition and appreciation for the members of our team. And what happened, it was it was not even super intentional. It was when the leaders started doing it, the team started doing it. So we would tell you, don't let recognition, don't let appreciation happen on accident, because it will never happen on accident. Make it a habit. This will not become convenient. It will not be something you drift into. Schedule time to do something to recognize your team every single week, because again, people thrive when you recognize the work that they are putting in. When you tell them you are valued, you are seen, you are known, and we are in this boat together, that's a place that I want to stick around.
That's right. So all of these strategies are kind of, one is leading up to, one kind of cascades into the next, right? So as we go from attitude, the very last strategy, number 5, what is probably the most important, but you can't fix this one unless you fix the other 4 first. There's an order of operations here. Strategy number 5 is you have to fix your leadership. This is a hard look in the mirror, my friends. Dave Ramsey says organizations are never limited by their opportunity, but they are limited by their leader. John Maxwell calls this the lid, the leadership lid. You are the lid on your organization. Your organization is only going to go as far as you allow it to go.
That's right. In terms of an action plan here, we want you to make a list of 3 things you can begin working on. And here's the deal. We've talked organizationally a lot today, so we want you to make a list of the top 3 things you can begin working on, not with regard to the team, but with regard to you. There are areas where all of us can grow. What are the top 3 areas where you can grow as a leader starting today? And then I want to know, what are you going to do to get there? Yeah. What are you going to do to start saying, I'm going to get better, I'm going to improve myself, because I know when I start improving myself, well, rising tides raise all ships. Yep. And our organization will get better because I made a deliberate decision as leader to improve myself.
That's right. Your organization will never outgrow you as a leader. We say around here, leaders are readers. Guess what, gang? If you're not reading books, your team's not going to read books. That's one way to grow. Maybe that's one of the 3 things you've written down is do more reading. Great. But if you're not growing, if you're not reading more, your team's not going to grow. Your team's not going to read more. You have to set the standard, set the pace. I know a lot of you are CEOs of your organization. Around here, we call that the Chief Everything Officer, right? It means you have your hand in every possible cookie jar, whether you want it there or not. But your business will never grow beyond your ability to delegate. You have to be able to raise up champions, to raise up leaders who are taking charge of maybe just thoughts or concepts initially. Maybe they're not even in charge of a whole team, but maybe they're just in charge of a project for right now. But it is your responsibility. You are the one in charge for delegating properly to get these things off the ground, to get this rocket to take off. But they have to get buy-in. They have to buy into the goal. That's your responsibility. Dwight Eisenhower says leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he wants to do it. Can I get an amen?
That sounds pretty good.
Let's go for that. That sounds like heaven on earth if you can get somebody else to do what you want done because the other person wants to do it. But a lot of times we come up with these excuses, all these problems, go, well, he said this and she didn't want to do that and she was over here and he was over there. Guess what? You may think everybody else is the problem because they're not picking up the slack on what needs to happen, but you are the problem. I don't mean to be the conveyor of bad news here. I don't want to rain on your parade. You're the problem. But the good news is you're also the solution. It's up to you. You are the one that has to kind of take this bull by the horns. You have to surround yourself with people who can help you grow because if you aren't growing, you're dying. So surround yourself with people you grow. Give these people a platform to grow or you'll watch them go. That's another thing that has to be true because it rhymes, right? Either allow them a place to grow or watch them go. They're going to go somewhere else where that need becomes fulfilled. And if it's not in your organization, they're going to find it somewhere else.
Absolutely. So today we've given you 5 strategies and we've given you a bunch of different action items. And I'm sure most of you, we say note takers are world changers. I'm sure y'all are taking a lot of notes today on the things that you want to do and the things that you anticipate doing and the things that you need to change and fix and add and modify and clarify and amplify. That's awesome. We love that. We love that you are personal growth oriented people. Here's the piece of advice we would give you is don't you dare try and put this in place all at once. When you try to win at everything, you can't win at anything. And we get to work as coaches. And one of the things that we see is that you have a choice to make as a leader. Am I going to try and do everything and do it all at a mediocre level? Or I'm going to choose one or two things that matter most and absolutely knock it out of the park. Choose the areas that matter most and intentionally invest time in working over those things because we see that those are the people that are winning when it comes to working on the business.
Yeah, implementing what we've talked about today takes time. We have actually one of our core values talks about that. It's called the momentum theorem, and it says focused intensity over time multiplied by God equals unstoppable momentum. I know you all have shown up here. You have proven that you are, in fact, intense. You have intensity. What you often lack, and what I lacked as a business owner, was time to focus. I know several of you feel like you're in survival mode. You know you need that time to focus, but you're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, right. That feels like a pipe dream, buddy. I know you're running fast. You're running in various different directions. You don't know what to do. You don't know when to do it. You may not even know how to do it. Maybe some of you are on here, you would categorize yourself as kind of that accidental entrepreneur, that accidental business owner. You had a hobby you enjoyed, maybe you're making a little money doing it, and all of a sudden, poof, you look up and you got a team and you got payroll and you're paying rent on a space. And it feels like you're riding on a business roller coaster. If that's you, if you're tired of feeling like you're on this island all by yourself with no support structure, I want you to listen to me for just a second. If you are wanting to truly, I mean truly, transform your organization and have a platform, an outlet where you're surrounded by other business owners and leaders, where you have a place to get your questions answered and where you can get honest feedback about your business, I want you to join All Access. I want you to go to entreleadership.com/join and sign up for our All Access coaching program. Inside All Access, where we spend our days, we have seen owners transform from scared and feeling isolated to these results-oriented strategic thinkers who actually have a support structure in place to tackle these issues that I know in business we all face, regardless of industry. All the problems we face are the same. I don't care if you're in trucking, if you own a yoga studio, if you're in the food industry, all the issues are the same. For those of you who are desperate to surround yourself with other owners and leaders. We have monthly mastermind calls with 10 to 12 other entrepreneurs that will create a community that I believe we all want and need. If you need a place to get your questions answered about the current state of business, you want to gain perspective on pain points inside your organization, I host Ask the Coach live every day at 1 o'clock Central. That's your opportunity to come in, pick my brain about struggles you're facing on a daily basis in a safe, trusted place. And when you need honest feedback about your business, we have a private Facebook group with over 3,000 members. It's an incredible resource for our clients. You can gain true, honest feedback from peers who many times have faced the exact same issue you're facing. Our 3,000 members, they are a wealth of knowledge. They have decades of experience. And they allows you to, what I have seen is that a lot of our owners come to a realization that they're actually not on an island all by themselves. There's a lot of us crazies on that island with you. All of us who said, yeah, okay, I'll be an entrepreneur. We're on that island with you. So if you're lacking in any or maybe all of those areas, you owe it to yourself. I believe you owe it to your team. And I believe you owe it to your business to check out All Access. Again, entreleadership.com/join. And today, if you enter the code SAVE, S-A-V-E, SAVE, you're going to save $50 on the monthly price. It's normally $299. Today, for the little, we got 30 minutes left here, 28 minutes. It's only $249. So don't wait. It is time sensitive, but make sure you go. It's truly, as a former business owner, I wish I would have had it. I truly wish I would have had it. I believe it would have changed my organization. So we're here to take your questions. We got a little bit of time left, and fire away. I know there's got to be. I know we got questions pouring in the chat box. I know that.
Right.
So.
Another thing too, and I know this because I literally wrote the email yesterday. We're doing this for the first time ever on this webinar. Is if you sign up today on the webinar today, you will get a free one-on-one coaching call with one of our coaches to really dive into where is your business at. What are the things on this webinar that you heard that you say, I want to work on that, or I want to dive into that pain point, and we're going to help you create the execution plan. Because here's the deal. We work with thousands of business owners around the country, and we see that there's a huge difference between those that are winning and those that are failing. And we used to think that the difference was information. But here's the deal. We live in the age of information, right? You can find the answer to everything you need on Google. The difference between people that are winning at working on the business and failing is not information, it's execution. And so if you are going to win at business, you have to have a plan where you are consistently executing on the things that matter most for your business and for your team. We see that that is how people are winning. So I would ask you the question, do you have people in your life that are asking you the questions that you are not asking yourself? Are you surrounding yourself with other people that are leading businesses that are smarter than you are? You don't have to do it through All Access, absolutely not, but you have to have it somewhere. Because if you as a leader are not growing, you're dying. And if you as a leader are dying, your organization is dying. Recognize that when you as a leader get better, every single person wins. Your team wins, your customers win. That's our heart around here at All Access. That's why we say you need to get in a mastermind group. You need to be surrounded by people that are smarter than you. You need to have someone you can ask questions to. It's because that when a leader gets better, everybody wins. Let's dive into some questions real quick. If y'all have questions about the content we've dove into or All Access, we can address those. But again, there's 26 minutes to get signed up and get going on that. Leah asked the question, I'm having a hard time getting my owners and partners on board with coming up with a mission statement and vision. I have finally just written one, but I'm not sure if they're on board or if they care about it. So how do you elicit that big buy-in factor? How do you get people to care about mission or vision, specifically the business partners once it's established?
And yeah, who was the organization, or who was the group that she was referring to?
Business partners.
Business partners. Well, I would say you got to kind of push the envelope here a little bit. What I would do is take this information back to them and say, hey gang, here's what I want to do, but more importantly, here's why. And I think we use a phrase around here called paint the beach. You need to paint that, picture the waves, picture the sand, the sun setting, really take them into the moment and say, here's why I believe this is so important. Not only is this foundational, but it provides clarity and it provides guardrails. If somebody around here came up to Dave and said, hey, we're gonna, what do you think about a taco truck? Yeah. Dave's gonna say, no. That doesn't fit within our mission statement. Well, what about a used car lot? No, that doesn't fit within our mission statement. Well, what about something in the parenting world or the marriage world? Well, Okay, yeah, that our mission statement talks about biblically based empowerment and education, and yeah, those things fit in that mission statement. So paint the picture, paint the beach to them, see if you can get their buy-in that way. And at the end of the day, depending on what size ownership they have, if you're a 50-50 or maybe you're an 80-20 or whatever, if you have if the pendulum swings your way, this is your business. You are the majority owner, and you need to set the tone for everybody else in the organization.
Absolutely. Great question, Leah. Melissa, welcome to All Access. We've got a couple other names coming in, but Melissa, we're glad to have you on board. Again, you'll be getting that email today to schedule that one-on-one coaching call. David, let's go into how do you protect a healthy culture with a rapidly growing team? So if you have a rapidly growing team that is expanding, we can absolutely relate to this right now. We're hiring 23 a month. How do you protect the culture when it's growing so rapidly?
Well, David, I would say if you are the owner, if you're growing that fast, it can't be up to you. You cannot be the culture police. You cannot be a one-man police unit. You have to surround yourself with these leaders who embody who you are, how you do business, why you're in business. You have to essentially kind of clone yourself, which can be hard in this job market, in this day and age. Unemployment is at an all-time low. All the excuses, tough. Surround yourself with people who own like you do, even though they don't own like you do. They have to have that same mentality. I would say around here, without a shadow of a doubt, our culture is more upheld peer-to-peer than it is Dave down. Dave was the initial culture kind of bar setter, if you will, but now he established it. It's not up to him to uphold it. It's up to us to hold each other accountable. So get thoroughbreds on staff, get them believing like you do, get some leaders who are kind of set apart from the crowd, and really instill these principles in them.
Absolutely. Leslie asked the question, we only use subcontractors. How can you apply the communication aspect that we were talking about, fixing your communication to subcontractors?
I would hold them to the same standard. Frankly, around here, not all of our subcontractors go to our weekly staff meeting, but they do stand in on our Entre leadership meeting. We have that every Thursday. So we kind of get smaller and smaller. We have 800 people in the room. Then we have 50 in Entre in the room. Then we have a coaching team that's 6 or so, 7 with admins. And, we get together at 7, and then we do one-on-one meetings with our leader, with Sean Devereaux. And so I would say, get them in where you need them to be. They may not be at every meeting. They're a subcontractor. That's okay. But you for sure have to communicate important and pertinent information.
Yep, absolutely. You still have time on All Access. If you want to get signed up, we see some more names coming in. Again, welcome. We would tell you, again, you've got to have a place where you are consistently executing on the things that matter most for your organization to make real cultural change happen. Kim asked the question, she says you say you're self-employed, but are you hiring contractors or employees? I've wrestled with legally putting boundaries on contractors. So again, it's a contractor question, realizing that I probably need to hire W-2s is what she's saying on here.
We hire contractors. We'll hire somebody for a time, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 6 months, something like that. Somebody coming in working on a special project or something that we're trying to get off the ground. We need some more people on board, some butts in seats, and we need a lot of all hands on deck type thing. We will hire some contractors. Often those contractors do turn into full-time team members, so it gives them a chance to kind of get in the door, gives us a chance to kind of analyze their work and really see if they are a long-term culture fit. Maybe not that we were doubting that they were on the short term, but that really helps on both ends solidify that relationship. So I don't mind hiring contractors. It may very well be the right fit for your business model.
Absolutely, absolutely. Marianne asked the question, I have a retail outlet and one of the team members wears questionable clothing. Okay, I've talked to her, I've made general statements at staff meetings. Any other statements? Well, we would say, number one, you do need to confront something. We say that confrontation should occur in small, rapid explosions, not one giant explosion, right? So we need to confront someone and say, hey, that behavior, that action does not align with our standards. We also need to take a look in the mirror and say, are we putting a Band-Aid on something? Are we trying to cover up a fruit issue when it's actually a root issue, right? So make sure that your culture is established in such a way that values have been put in place to where that is not a thing. After repeated confrontations, if someone is repeatedly repeatedly ignoring your confrontation of a breaking of standard, a breaking of values, a breaking of company mission, they are basically waving a giant flag that says, I do not belong on this bus. If they are repeatedly ignoring your confrontations, then the confrontation needs to move towards what we would call an emotional firing, and we talk about that more in the coaching program, and then eventually saying, hey, you probably just don't belong here, and this is just a good example of one way that you probably don't belong as a part of this team.
Yeah, we call that helping that individual participate in the inevitable.
Yeah.
That's what we like to have happen. You're going to go, let's speed up the process.
Exactly. Tyler asked the question, other than myself, my business has only one team member, okay? I've noticed that it's much easier to have a family environment when we have more team members. Meetings, team gatherings, etc. often seem very awkward when it's just one other person. So do you have any tips for creating and maintaining a culture whenever it's such a small team?
That was my experience. As an owner, I had 2, 3, maybe 5 people on my team. I think at most 4 or 5 people. It can be awkward, especially if it's male-female. I would always make sure if we're going out to lunch or going out to dinner, maybe celebrating a Christmas party, my wife is there. If I had a female employee, maybe she brings somebody she's dating or somebody, whoever her spouse is. That situation, you have to be real intentional about, number one, overcoming the awkwardness, and 2, kind of creating the party a little bit, creating the atmosphere. So don't be afraid to praise them and celebrate them in what is, because of the setting, it's a one-on-one environment. Don't be afraid to praise them and compliment them and pat them on the back, atta boy, atta girl. But make sure that if you are doing something that is a larger celebration, get some more people involved, and invite them over to your neighborhood Christmas party. If you're throwing something at your house or something, make it an event so they don't feel awkward. But absolutely praise them, tell them they're doing a good job. Remember those 5 things that people want, right? They want attention. They want to be praised and appreciated. So do that, but just know there may be some boundaries.
Absolutely. Again, we've got 18 minutes left for the all access offer. That's $50 off if you sign up on this webinar. Let's dive into one more question here on the webinar. Carrie says, our biggest challenge is getting people to take on more responsibility at a pay rate that is actually affordable to our small business. I think we pay well, but it often seems like our perceptions of pay are not in line with what our employees think. So how do we get them to start acting like owners whenever we're doing the most we can and they're starting to think like that's not enough?
Well, I would look at maybe implementing something like a profit sharing program. You're going to want to reward what you want repeated. So structure your compensation package to reward the activities, the outcomes that you want them to drive. Obviously, sales is easy. Dave has always said, if I could put our admin, our receptionist on commission, I would do it. That's an easy comp structure, as somebody who's in sales and on commission. We have our profit sharing program here because of that situation where we want to reward, we want to incentivize, we want people to take ownership, and they don't have a way to go out and kill something and drag it home like a salesperson would. So here's our way to say, you know what, this is your piece of the pie. Start small with something like that. And number one, I would say get really familiar with your numbers to see if there are in fact profits to share. And also look at other ways to incentivize them. Maybe it's not money. Out of the top 10 reasons people are looking for a job or what they're looking for from their job, money actually ranks like 6th or 7th. So there's a handful of other things ahead of money on the list. It may be time off. It may be some sort of travel reward. There are other ways. Maybe it's insurance. There may other ways, other things that will incentivize somebody to stay and to be part of the team without having to up their salary or up their hourly pay.
Absolutely. And that kind of wraps up perfectly, because we said at the beginning, one of the stats we showed you at the beginning is a tremendous percentage of people would be willing to take a $5,000 pay decrease to just work at a place where they're happy, engaged, and fulfilled. And then we gave you all these strategies. Fix your foundation, fix your hiring, fix your communication, fix your attitude, fix your leadership. Nowhere in there did we say fix your compensation.
Right.
Now, we're not going to say money is not a thing. Money's absolutely a thing. But if you are doing everything you can from a compensation perspective, then let's shift our eyes towards how can we make this the absolute best place to work no matter what. For those of you that joined All Access, Kevin, Melissa, let's see all the other names on here. We're so beyond excited to have y'all on board. Y'all still have time to sign up. We hope to see you on a coaching session very soon. We teach on this content literally every single week. We want to see you on a mastermind. We want to see you actually executing upon the things that it takes to get your employees to act like owners. Y'all, thank you for being on this webinar today. Thank you so much. We'll hope to see some of you on All Access very soon, and y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.